the Senior Director of Business Development for ATI Worksite Solutions. And this is my panel of experts today.
Hi, I'm Alicia Nottingham. I'm an athletic trainer. I'm also a certified CEIS and a certified kinesiotherapy practitioner.
Hi, my name is Ashley Simmons. I'm also an athletic trainer, industrial athletic trainer, so a CEIS, early intervention specialist.
I am Jessica Chandler. I am a certified athletic trainer and I am a senior ergonomics consultant for AWS.
I'm Tyler Baker. I'm also a certified early intervention specialist as well as an athletic trainer.
So today we're going to be asking a few questions of our panel. The first question being, why did you choose the industrial setting over the traditional athletic setting?
Okay, so I'm going to start this one because I decided industrial for the hours. I mean, honestly, I was an athletic trainer working at a Division II school, working 90 hours a week, and I didn't feel appreciated, and I got burnt out. So when the opportunity came about to do industrial, I really didn't know anything about it. I decided to give it a shot, and I fell in love with it. So I mean, it's definitely eye-opening, and I mean, it's amazing. What do you guys think?
I agree. That was one of the reasons I liked it. I think the only thing I'd contribute is it was neat for me to the aspect of working for someone that's their career versus someone that's maybe a high school sport or someone in college. They only briefly do it. You have a career. This is someone that brings a paycheck home, family, vacation time. They're missing out if they can't go back to work. So it's very rewarding, and I've grown to love that.
And I would just add that I loved prevention, and so with ergonomics, it is about preventing those injuries for those people that collect the paychecks for their families, and they see the benefit in that, and that's what I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I agree. Just to kind of echo what they said, as much as I loved and enjoyed working in collegiate athletics, I kind of felt like I wasn't getting as much reach as I would have liked to. You know, you're limited in that you only have, you know, a small number of people that you're touching and impacting. And, you know, in the industrial setting, you know, might say we have over 3,000 associates or employees that we work with. And so it really allows us to, you know, to do more and kind of reach out and you know, and also like you said, you know, you're not just working with people that are trying to get back on the court or on the field. You're working with people that are just trying to get throughout the day and, you know, get through their workday without pain. And so, you know, there's no championship to be won. There's no conference title or state championship to be had. It's just about providing for their families. And we get to help them do that, which I think is awesome.
Well said. Yes.
Yeah, very cool. So we talk a lot about the industrial athlete. We talk about, you know, athletic trainers and industry. You're representing a bunch of different industries here. So what is your role in the industrial setting?
I think our role is key in helping people understand who they are, like how their body works, what they can do to mitigate risks. I mean, if you wake up every morning with back pain, you think that's normal. It's just part of getting older. It's part of working the job that you work, but that's not normal. So people don't think that they have an option there. So we're there to help provide that option. You do have answers. There are things that you can do on a regular basis to help you get through the day, help you to provide your kids with food on the table. You shouldn't ever have to live in pain. So that's what we're there for, to educate them, to help them, to motivate them. Everybody needs a little push sometimes. So that's what we do. We help them, you know, reach their full potential, just like we would any other athlete.
Yep. And I've only got some couples on the educational aspect, whether if it's a work-related situation, we also deal with non-work-related. And I think it's that key if you can find that in between, oh, my shoulder hurts, and then you kind of go into like, oh, well, you drive with your arm out the window every day, you know, waving at everybody. So it's finding those little pieces that's a little bit different that I really enjoy.
So as an ergonomics consultant, I actually go into client settings to strictly perform project work. It's rare that I actually am at a client site for more than a year or two on more of a part-time basis. And that is to identify risks for various ergonomics and wellness projects. Now, what the difference is with my colleagues here is that they are on site full-time, and it's about the follow-up, and they do so great at following up, getting to know the employees, and connecting with them. And so I always tell them that's what I appreciate about them being on site, because I don't always get to follow up. I just tell what the risk is, what they can do to mitigate that risk, and then I don't know if they actually implement my recommendations. My colleagues listen, some do.
I agree. The only thing I'll add is that I think we're communicators largely. I think I find myself kind of being a liaison a lot between, the supervisor and the team leader and the safety staff and the workers' comp people and the physicians and the nurses in the clinic, etc. Just like we would in the athletic setting where we're communicating with the coach or the AD, it's similar in that way.
It's a big teamwork.
Right.
Yeah. You know your piece in the team.
We have a question coming from the crowd here. What has been your most challenging situation at work, and what did you learn from it? Oh my gosh, can you even count those?
There are
There's a
so
lot of different
many.
ones.
I'd say for me, the most challenging situation at work has been an employee that fears for their job. They're maybe afraid to bring about injuries, thinking their supervisor is going to make them do extra work or something like that. And we're there on site to just make sure that they're aware that's not going to happen. I mean, we want them to continue working. We want the supervisors to know what's going on so that they can help them through it. But the challenge there is going to be just, making sure the employees feel that we are trustable. Like we're trustworthy. They can trust that we're going to help them without hurting their position at work. That's probably the biggest thing that I've had trouble with at my job. And the longer we're there, the better we build relationships with the employees. It's just like your athletes. Once they get to know you, once they know that you're there for their benefit, then they're more open to helping out or reporting things. It's about building relationships through that communication that Tyler mentioned.
That's a great one. The only thing I think that also couples along with that is maybe where it's that traditional setting where we're used to doing this, they fall through that line of we have to work, we have to do this, like you said. And I guess for me, it's on that aspect of when they're stubborn. And I guess maybe you would kind of see this too. It's that stubborn kind of, and again, like the old coach standpoint.
Right.
Old coach goes, oh, this is how we should do a drill. No, they don't need water breaks. You can teach us that educational point tool where we can actually go, no, look at this way, or oh, you can still return to work and do this. So our protective limitations that we can set, or looking at, oh, try to do it this way, get a better form. I think that would be the struggle, is trying to teach that to them, that educational, and building that trust. Once you have the trust, it just progresses from there and you grow.
Yeah, I would say that is the biggest challenge, and especially for me, I have to let my clients know I'm present for them. Everything I'm doing is for them. Yes, a little bit benefits me from a career standpoint, but my sole purpose is being present for them.
Yeah, completely agree. Gaining that trust, building that relationship, and getting the buy-in from the associate, I think is the biggest challenge we face.
So I know when you went into athletic training in school, the whole idea of becoming an athletic trainer in industry may have not been popular at the time. It's kind of a newer concept, so to speak. So who influenced you, and what kind of made you decide to study athletic training in school?
Do you want to go first?
Unless somebody else wants to go first, I want
Anybody else want to go first?
I'll
Switch
go.
another end.
So athletic training in general, or the industrial center, both?
More athletic training in general. What got you into that field?
So athletic training, I was an athlete myself, and so I always liked, being around athletics, and then, I was always kind of high energy, and so I definitely, I wanted to do something dynamic, something that didn't involve just sitting at a desk, and so that kind of was that for me. And in terms of a person that I think inspired me, I have to say, my mom. So she's a nurse, and so, she went back to school when I was younger, and I remember kind of getting the information from her and learning about things related to medicine, et cetera. And I was always really interested in that. So it kind of put those two things together for me. So that's why I chose that.
Yeah, I would always say that my passion was science. I enjoyed science, and I enjoyed learning about the body. I played sports as well, and it was actually my high school athletic trainer that was present, and I spoke to her about where she went to school, what she does, and it just was something I said, this is what I want to try to do. Mine was an interesting story. I started actually
competitive, and I wanted to be more live, more hands-on. Wanted to do a little. I wanted to provide that extra inning and not sit down. I didn't want it to be that kind of boring pace. And I was making Christmas cookies at my grandma's church, and Randy Biggerstaff, who's over at Linneman University. I don't know if anybody knows him at all. This group. Okay, anyway, he actually. He's probably my biggest inspiration. He listened to what I go, man, I wish physical therapy did this. I wish I could work with athletes, or I wish I could provide a little bit more. I want to be more hands-on. And with my program, I just wasn't happy. And while we're eating cookies, he goes, oh, come over, I want you to see this. I want to just go for a day. Just miss a couple classes for one day. I fell in love, and the rest was history.
Did you get that? You got her to play cookie.
I did, just a little bit. It was worth it.
So for me, I actually wanted to be a physical therapist. Started going to school undergrad first year, and one of my professors was an athletic trainer, and he worked at a physical therapy clinic, and so we had to do so many hours of volunteer for our degrees. And I went and shadowed him at the physical therapy clinic, and I was like, okay, I can do this, but what else is there? And he said, well, I'm an athletic trainer. Let me take you out and show you, I've got another job. And so he took me out to work baseball games and football games, and I was like, I love this. Like, it's physical therapy, but for activity. I mean, it's digging into a completely different set of individuals. And so, I mean, I just like they said, I mean, the active, it's amazing. I mean, from that moment on, I just fell in love.
It's colorful. We have lots of options that we can do and provide.
Great. So, what would you say is the coolest part about your job, and maybe the not so cool / challenging part of your job?
Yeah, let's go first on that. I can start with that. Traveling to various clients, I don't always know what type of organization I'm walking into. And so for me, the coolest thing is overcoming that and learning about my new client and getting to see different processes and things being made. Now, what's challenging is, or not so cool part of my job, is when I put a lot of time and energy and effort into a client, and then the client just falls cold. And so that's disheartening to me, because I enjoy the prevention and I want them to want to be a part of what I'm doing. So, okay. For me, I'm actually going to start with the worst part first. So, I think I care a lot about making a difference, as you said, and we grow with the people that we make that interaction with. So for me, it's not taking it home. I'll worry about people. I'll worry about them going home to their family. Are they able to return to work? I didn't hear back from them when they went and saw the doctor and went for outside care. So I think for me, that is my biggest personal doubt and struggle. I worry about that and take it home. But the best parts, I guess, is I also like learn about their job. Can't talk too much about it, but it's neat to see their job specifics, how they do their job every day, and grow to have that respect and go, oh, for me, I could lift a cake. I think that's pretty cool. So that's a benefit. And then the other rewarding part, I think, other than learn what they do to make a difference, is going to bed at night going, I made a difference in one person. I can go to sleep knowing I help one person better themselves for the rest of their life.
Yeah, you're definitely touching on the next question.
Oh.
No, that's great, because a lot of these questions kind of overlap in terms of what he's trying to get you and how to answer it. So what do you think the biggest difference is between athletic training and industrial athletic training?
I think the biggest difference between the two is that athletes on the field know that they're athletes. All right? When you go to your job every day, you don't realize that you're an athlete. You don't think about yourself as being part of the active population. When you're lifting beams, when you're working in hot environments, I mean, all of these things that you're doing on a regular basis makes you an athlete, and you have to prepare your body for any physical activity. So the fact that people don't realize that they are athletes, I think, is one of the biggest differences. But it's also one of the most rewarding when you get to explain to them how how their body works, when you get to explain to them that there are things they can do to prepare themselves or to ice after doing something taxing for a cool down. I mean, the things that you tell them is just when you see something click, that they understand how they need to prepare their body. It's just as rewarding as walking in there and knowing that you're going to make a difference every day.
That's a good point. I've never thought about it that way.
And they appreciate it. When it clicks, they appreciate it, and you've made a friend for life.
Yep, the light bulb turns on.
Yes.
Right. They are. I mean, so, and even going back to like, this is kind of going off topic, but in athletics, you have athletes that are maybe doing 3-hour gym practices at most at a time. Very rarely do you have athletes that are doing the same physical activity all day for 8 to 12 hours a day. 5 to sometimes 6 days a week.
Yeah, or more depending if it's in season for different things where they have higher productivity and they're having to push more out.
And their workload is actually higher than what an athlete would experience.
A lot higher.
And a lot of them, they go to work, they'll work their 8-hour shift, but then they still go to the gym. They still have to go to their kid's baseball game. So they're active on top of being active. So you just got to remind them.
Yeah, absolutely. But going back to the initial question, I think, to me, one of the biggest differences is that that patient compliance, or that associate or employee compliance factor. In the athletic setting, typically when you have an athlete that's injured, you have specific time allocated just for their treatment and just for the time that you're able to spend with them one-on-one. In the industrial setting, you don't necessarily get that individualized time, so that buy-in is even that much more important. So, I'm going to give you this plan. We're going to lay out this early intervention plan for you. We're going to make these adjustments in your biomechanics and ergonomics of the job, etc. But they have to do it because you can't be there breathing down their neck. You can't hold their hand through it. You have to get the buy-in. So that is the biggest.
That's another really good point.
Okay. So, are there any additional skills or certifications that can help you in the industrial setting?
I think anything that you can get, whether it's education in ergonomics, additional education in anatomy and physiology, anything really that's going to help you increase your knowledge is going to help with your industrial athletic training setting.
I personally, this is me, I don't know about everybody else, I'm not very good with computers and everything, so Excel, spreadsheets, business courses, learning to talk corporate, that was a huge difference when I changed avenues. I had done therapy, I had done on the field, off the field, college, high school, and for me the big difference was when I had to learn to shorten everything, get it to the point, do more math, to represent to that group what you're fighting for, what you're making a difference when they see that progress. I would recommend a little bit of those courses.
Continuing to just try to improve yourself. For me, I knew I wanted to be able to speak to health and safety professionals and HR professionals, and so I went back and I got some additional education in occupational health and safety, but that's all on top of me building my ergonomics resume for the past 9 years, as well as my workers' comp background. And so it's always about just trying to improve yourself, because there's always a new avenue to learn.
Absolutely. This may sound a little bit off the wall, but I have a background in personal training, not to be confused with athletic training. But,
Right.
Yeah. But so I worked closely previously with strength and conditioning coaches, etc. So that really kind of fueled, my motivation for a work conditioning program at my site. So what we do there is all new hire associates come in and they go through 2 weeks of job-specific training, injury prevention training, mobility work, stability work, perceptive exercise, postural control, etc. And it's all kind of in a group fitness model. So that background really kind of helped me in that, because a lot of these people come in from completely sedentary backgrounds. Maybe they had a desk job, or they were a truck driver, or maybe they were unemployed and they were on the couch for the last year or so. And so then they go into these physically demanding jobs, just so deconditioned. So that really helped me, and that's been a big factor for my side as well. So I would say that probably not the typical, but that's
that's huge. And that's what's great about us being healthcare providers, is that we are providing this total worker health, and this is what the CDC is trying to roll out. And it actually, we're hoping that these little ripples in what we do is going to help to change the culture of our country and the blue-collar workforce.
Right.
Their safety.
Yeah, and health.
So you guys might answer this all differently, which is going to be really cool because you come from all different backgrounds. So what skills have you gained in the industrial setting that's helping you grow as a professional in athletic training?
I don't remember.
So I'll say a big thing, again, I know I mentioned this earlier, but communication and being able to find common ground. Because like I said, I keep going back to the whole, the buy-in from them being so important. And able to get that buy-in, you have to have some sort of relatability. So you have to be able, they have to trust you in some way, so you have to be able to find something to bring it back to that you can both, kind of levels the playing field. So I think, just general communication skills and general, skills in explaining the protocol, and really, sometimes I throw out medical jargon and they're looking at me like I have two heads, and so I really have to bring it down and say, this is what I want you to do and this is why. And once we do get that buy-in, they tend to really appreciate it. So.
I'll add patience, and if my parents are watching, I'll tell you I don't always have a lot of patience, but it is being patient with my clients in that ergonomics is a process, and any changes that occur has to go through the process, because that's how large organizations work. So I think that is the biggest skill that I've learned. What I am trying to work on and get better at is what Tyler mentioned, and that is communication and tailoring my communication to fit the individual.
I love that. Both of you pretty much took what I was going to say. I think to juggle and know how to talk to someone who's more blue collar, and then have someone at the corporate level to be able to explain the health and safety team. You have different aspects that you're all trying to get together as that team. And so you're always learning from that. You're becoming flexible. You're gaining patience. So you have to pull all that in together, and it just makes you more overall. You grow. Yeah. They help you grow too, right? Yeah.
I think one of the biggest skills that I've learned is accountability. When you're in a sports setting, the coaches tell the athletes, you need to be here at this time. You've got set athletic training room hours and all of that. But I mean, at our setting, in an industrial setting, you don't have that. You've got to be the one to go out and look for that employee. You've got to be the one to remind them to do their stretches or whatever it is that you're helping them with. So I mean, holding myself more accountable is definitely a skill that was strengthened through this industrial setting.
I really like this next question because I have obviously a different perspective going into the client as you do. I'm trying to put you guys on site and trying to explain to the client, this is why we put athletic trainers on site. This is their mentality. This is their personality. This is why they make our program successful. And so the next question is, once you're on site, how do the employees perceive you? And not only the employees with the leadership. So now you're on site, you kind of have to explain who you are, why you're there, and how does that buy-in kind of take place?
In my experience, it takes time. We have new athletic trainers that start, and they kind of feel frustrated because things aren't happening as fast as they typically would in the athletic setting. And I have to remind them it takes time, because what you're doing for the first few weeks is establishing relationships.
It takes a little longer than that. Sometimes it can take a year or 2 years, so you really have to build that trust. And I feel like you said, that can be a bit of a challenge sometimes. But once you can gain that, I think the employees at first are like, oh, who is this person? It's a wannabe therapist or nurse or something. They get confused with the first aid care and how it goes into nutrition and maintenance, and ergonomics, and shouting them out on the floor, or on trucks or things like that.
I'm not crying, I promise.
Oh, I'm like,
sorry.
you're getting so
No, I
into
got
this.
something in my eye.
So,
I'm not crying, I promise.
Yes, I love it.
I'm crying. I've been crying all day.
But I definitely believe that. So.
Next question. What additional career paths
so there's actually the availability of upward movement to more leadership roles for those people who become subject matter experts in what they do, whether that's early intervention or even ergonomics. So in terms of an alternate career path, even from industrial athletic training, ergonomics, and we're always looking for ergonomics consultants to be able to go in, perform project work, and even establish relationships with those clients to show them the ATI way and what we do.
There's numerous different ways that you can go. I mean, from business development and trying to get clients to understand what we do on site, how we can help their team, how we can become part of their family, to being an athletic trainer on site, being an ergonomics specialist. I mean, it's endless. I mean, all the way to the top, just the ladder doesn't end, because you can always be better than you were. The company's always growing and finding new ways to become better. They're opening up new positions on a regular basis just to house all the potential that we have. So, I mean, you really can just grow until the sky. I mean, it just keeps going.
Nurses and health and safety professionals, like Tyler's Mom Centers, we're looking at hiring more nurses for occupational health clinics, as well as doctors or medical assistants, x-ray techs, all those people to join our team, because it is almost like a sports medicine model. It's just an occupational medicine model.
That actually goes back to that initial question you asked about, why did we choose the industrial setting? And that was another big factor for me, the fact that it's so open-ended. I think we talked about this earlier prior to this interview, but if you're a high school athletic trainer, you're a high school athletic trainer, and there's not a ton of room for advancement, depending on your scenario. But here there's a lot of opportunity for sure.
And it's growing. It's just changing constantly.
The change constantly. I think that gives us job satisfaction. If you're somebody who likes to learn more things, do something different every day, or encounter a new situation, that's what makes the athletic training industrial model so appealing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dream big. Yeah.
Dream big, kids.
Next question is, this is directed towards you, Jessica. What or who influenced you to take the career path from an athletic trainer to an ergonomics consultant?
So there is an occupational therapist who used to be my boss. His name is Neil Taylor, and he is in charge of the workers' comp division on the East Coast. And he actually influenced me my first 3 years of working with ATI doing sports medicine, and I knew I wanted a change. And so he was in the world of workers' comp as well as injury prevention through ergonomics and other wellness services. Another person on his team was Diana Burns, who is my former boss, but she is somebody who also kind of encouraged me to learn more ergonomics, and pretty much is what got me here today.
She does.
Yes, she does.
Shout out to Diana.
That's Ashley's boss.
Yes.
But what's also kind of cool is, yes, you're senior ergonomics consultant, and all ATI Worksite Solutions employees, athletic trainers, nurses, what have you, business development, I've even done my fair share of office ergo. It's skills that you learn on the job, and any one of us can become an ergo consultant, so to speak, within our own sites. So it's part of that change, it's part of that growth opportunity, it's part of that, hey, how cool is it you're putting a new line in your site, and the safety teams asked you to be part of engineering that out. That's really cool, and it's something that you guys would have never thought of doing in school, thinking I'm going to be engineering equipment, I'm going to be engineering people to be able to do these jobs.
And that's why I think an athletic trainer's personality fits so well, is because the majority of athletic trainers accept challenges, and they really like to be challenged.
Right.
Even though it can be stressful, they want to be able to be challenged and then see what the accomplishment is. And we have a lot of so that they're not feeling like they're left on an island, and get them to be an expert on ergonomics or another safety system. And that's pretty much what I have to say.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Athletic trainers accept challenges because if it's easy, it's not worth doing. You know, so you got to take the victories with the challenge. I love that.
And you love seeing the results and the satisfaction with the people you work with.
Right.
Always comes back to that.
Just sitting here talking to you guys made me think about another difference between athletic training on the field and athletic training in industrial. The support group. The support group
Yes.
that you have is huge. I mean, you've got backing all the way from the person that's trying to help us get the clients to those of us that are trying to keep the clients. I mean, trying to make them happy. I mean, there is just a plethora of people that are there to support one client, and we can do that for all of our clients.
And athletic trainers are very competitive, and so sometimes we tend to butt heads against each other. But in this setting, if you can't work well together for the good of the entire division, we're not going to be able to grow because we're all going to be drowning versus getting the help.
Yeah, we're not fighting each other
Right.
for solutions. We're helping each other
Right.
come up with them.
Same
I
team.
love that. I feel like I can always reach out to somebody, a fellow colleague or somebody. If I can't even talk to Diana, I'll reach out to people and put an email out. And I'm curious, anybody dealt with
And
this
Ashley's
situation?
called me. We've been on the phone
Yeah.
together. So
We have a question coming from Alex Maxwell out in Facebook land. Do you feel the same sense of pride at the end of a day shift like you do when you worked in a traditional athletic setting?
Absolutely. I would say even more
Yep.
so.
I was gonna say even more.
we are in some Fortune 500 companies. These are big companies, big organizations, a lot of layers, and our ability to intermingle and become sticky like glue in their organization is very rewarding, and we enjoy that.
I would even say like you help that athlete so they can finish that season, that game, they go off to their next events or
Right.
they try to go pro. But again, it's for me, it's so they can do their job and see their families. They can make that vacation trip. They can celebrate Christmas and actually enjoy eating and moving and doing everything. To me, it's those little bitty things that pleasure goes a lot further when families tie in.
Right.
And personally, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the end of the day, every day we're working to conquer something new. But by new, I mean like a new field. I mean, a lot of people still don't know about this industrial setting. So a lot of people are skeptical, and I mean, we're working every day to make sure athletic trainers, it's known that athletic trainers can help in this setting. So I mean, every day you go home from work and you're thinking, I did it again. I mean, I helped people, and that's what it's all about. So it is rewarding.
I would say too, another thing, I feel like you have more control in that. I feel like when I was working in athletics, a lot of, at the end of the day, my end of the day successes had to do with how well the team was doing, or where the team was at in their season, or, did they have a winning record, etc. In this setting, it's all on me. It's how well did I, handle these issues that I was faced with. And then also you mentioned the hours being so much better in the industrial setting. You're also not as exhausted. That's
I think what's also cool, what I like to see from my fellow early intervention specialists is their return on investments. And I get so excited when I see the impact that they're making at their client sites.
It just goes to show you we can help the employees and the employer at the same time. A lot of people think win, lose. I mean, the employers are there the employees are there for the employer. But if everyone works together, everyone wins. So we're there to make sure everybody does win at the end of the day.
The glue, we bind. And that's what we're taught from our leadership. We have to work well together, and so we want our client sites to work the same way we work together.
Oh, we have another one. Question from Brandon Harvey. Question for Tyler.
Shout out, Brandon.
Hey!
This is a colleague from UT Chattanooga.
Very nice.
How does it feel to no longer work with coaches, traditional athletics, and being on call? How does it feel to?
Oh, okay. So you know, at the end of the day, in the industrial setting, you clock out and you actually have that free time that you don't have in athletics. So you know, as much like I said, as much as I love working in collegiate athletics, and as much as I enjoy it, and I don't want to take anything away from the athletic setting because I think that's a huge thing. I think that there's a huge need there. I think that more power to anybody that's in that setting. But you know, when we clock out at the end of the day, we're done. We're not on call constantly. Those of you that are athletic trainers know when you're an athletic trainer, it's a 24/7 gig, and you know you call up in the middle of the night for an athlete who has an issue going on, etc. You know, you're traveling on the weekends and you're gone, and so I think a big benefit for the industrial setting is people that have families and people that have busy lives outside of their job. So yeah, that's a big factor. Good question, Brandon.
It's like a work-life balance, and not that we don't want to be available for our employees who may become injured while we're not there, because certainly we would take calls from them. But it is that work-life balance of being able to get away and not have to stress out.
Enjoy holidays with families and not on the road, and being with the sports team going, there's my other family, I'm missing turkey.
Another question from Sam J. How do you monitor at-risk movements? How do you monitor at-risk movements in the industrial setting?
Great question. Can I take this one?
Go
Sorry.
for it.
Yeah, Tyler, go for it.
So a big tool that we've used recently has been the functional movement screen. And so I mentioned our work conditioning program prior to, and that's been a great measure. And so putting them through that, we get a really good idea of who's going to be at greater risk, and then it also gives us it helps us kind of allocate our time effectively. We know who is at greater risk, we can spend more time with them. So that's one big factor, and then the next one is line side evaluation. So we're not back in an office or in a clinic waiting for associates to come see us. We're out there on the production floor, watching them on their job process and really picking apart their every movement while they're on the floor.
FMS is a great wellness tool for employers. Now, from an ergonomics standpoint, if ergonomics really isn't just about body mechanics, but the line side evaluation is really important. Now, if I was going in to do a risk analysis, I would need a lot more than just body mechanics. Now, one tool that is really nice to have is a GoPro camera, because we can't see everything. And so if we can have that set up to see the process as a whole, it is really beneficial for risk analyses.
I'd like to put that on all my employees if I could, man. That'd give me a much better picture.
Yeah.
Question from Ergonomics LLC. How do you prevent at-risk movements in the industrial setting?
So, with what the early intervention program aims to do is to be the boots on the ground doing the line side job coaching. So it is identifying those at the moment who are using those at-risk postures and positions. Maybe it's not necessarily that the task is inherently high risk, it's that the behavior of the individual is high risk.
Right.
And so those early intervention specialists, they're able to be out on the floor and witness that. But I said this at the beginning, it's the follow-up that is the most important that these athletic trainers do every week, every month. They revisit those individuals, make a connection, ask them if they've been doing their postural correction, preventative stretching and movements, practicing the safe lifting mechanics, because it takes practice and repetition in order for them to be more comfortable and it to be second nature in performing better body mechanics versus sitting in a class and learning about safe lifting mechanics, good body mechanics.
I feel like a lot of times they don't even know. They have no idea that they're moving the way that they are, because a lot of times they come in and they're new hires, and maybe they're in fairly good shape, or maybe their movements aren't great to begin with, and the line goes, the production line goes, and they're learning a new job process and they're stressed, so they're just trying to keep up and go as fast as they can. They're not necessarily thinking about, okay, am I moving as efficient as I possibly can. And so they get in the habit of doing the movement the wrong way, and then they develop those engrams and those muscle memory patterns, and then once they've done it 1,000 times one way, that's the way they do it. So going back and watching them and re-teaching the job processes is a huge factor.
So I think for the last two questions, I mean, basically when you're asking what the tools are and what the solution is, we are being on site all the time, building those relationships with employees. We're out there, we see what's going on, we've got a working knowledge of the human musculoskeletal system. We're able to utilize each other as well as the education that we've got in our backgrounds to determine, you know, either jobs that are unsafe or movements that are unsafe, and tie it all together. And then again, going back to educating the employees. I mean, it's all about education. If you know why you're doing something, you're more likely to do it. We're not just going to tell every single person the same thing. There's no cookie cutter solution. So being on site every day, day in and day out, seeing the employees repetitively, all of that plays into what our tools are.
Just touching base with them, and it takes time. It's corrective behavior. I mean, if you've done something for years, it takes time. So seeing you build that trust, I'll lift the cases and do stuff with them every now and then, and they're like, oh, doesn't that feel good?
And it can be personal risk factors that result in why somebody may be using poor body mechanics or altering their mechanics. And so they mentioned, it is about trying to give them those corrective exercises to fit their need.
Wonderful. Well, great questions, great answers. Thank you for all you do. You're making a huge impact in thousands